Please welcome Nely Galan.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, oh please, thank you. I'm just happy to be with my peers instead of the Donald for a change. How many of you saw my firing? It was quite interesting. Okay, I just want to say, did I do anything wrong? No. I have to say that being fired by the Donald proved to me why I'm an entrepreneur and why all of you here are entrepreneurs. Because who wants to be an at-will employee for anybody? And as you saw, those of you that saw the show, I kind of yelled back at the Donald and kind of, you know, very classy. I wasn't bitchy about it. But I kind of told him where to get off, and he did not like that. And I thought it was very funny to watch the show afterwards. And I actually was very proud because I thought, oh, they're going to edit this, you know? But in fact, what they did is that they showed the whole thing. And you notice he was like silent after I told him off. It's like, what was he going to say? But the whole thing was, I have to say, even though once again it reinforced for me why I'm an entrepreneur, it was truly a magical experience. And I'll tell you why. And entrepreneurs will understand this. You know how our life is to make lemonade out of less than lemons? You know, it was an incredible opportunity because since I'm an entrepreneur and I'm not really like one of the other celebrities that really is there and they're stars, I thought I'm going to take this experience and I'm going to really go into the brain of every single one of the people that are on the show with me. I mean, when do you get to spend a month with Olympic gold medalists, with Gene Simmons, who's like a genius, you know, with even Omarosa, who comes across a certain way on the show, but she's actually brilliant and she's actually playing a part. And the thing was really exceptional for me, and I'm going to share with you a little later everything I learned on the show because I think it will be really valuable to all of you. But what was most exciting for me is I have been a fan of Nell Merlino's for years, and I don't need to explain why because you've all experienced her. She's magical, and what's incredible is what Simon said, that it's not only that she's incredible, but she's attracted incredible people to her, and she has an incredible organization. And because for me, I feel that being entrepreneurial is the greatest gift of my life. The greatest pain in my life, but the greatest gift in my life. And I really am committed to encouraging other women to go down this path, as difficult as it is. For me to be able to give any publicity to this incredible, magical organization and to put in my own money, as I did, and raise more money is really, it's a privilege. So I'm just thrilled to be here with all of you, and I just want to say that. Let me tell you a little bit how, because everybody always asks me, what made you think that you should be an entrepreneur? And I had two horrifically horrible experiences that made me want to be an entrepreneur. And I think you guys will find them amusing since I'm sure you have similar ones. First of all, I was born in Cuba, and we came to this country when I was 4. And my parents are Latinos that are very humble and that think money is the root of all evil, very Roman Catholic, and very much raised me to like, ay, Dios mío, just, you know, hurry up, look pretty so you can get married and have 5 kids. And I really had no intention whatsoever to be an entrepreneur. I wasn't raised that way. I wasn't inspired that way, nothing. And a horrible thing happened to me in my freshman year in high school that was really life-changing for me. And that was that I came home from school, and I overheard my mother, who was always worried about money, saying to my father, ay, Dios mío, what are we going to do? We cannot afford. They put me in this Catholic all-girls school that they couldn't afford. Hello, hello. They thought they were still living in Cuba with money. They were not. And my mother goes, ay, Dios mío, how are we going to afford this school? Oh, my God, she's going to get expelled. We cannot pay for it. And my father going, don't worry. Jesus will help us. Somehow there will be a miracle. And my mother goes, miracle? What miracle? Anyway, it was not good. And like a typical codependent child, I just thought, oh, my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to help these people? They're messed up. They don't know what they're doing. And I remembered that the lady down the street had said to me, honey, I sell Avon. You want to go sell some lipsticks in your school and you'll get some free lipstick? And that was like the only spark in my brain of like, how am I going to make money? And I went to see this lady down the street and I said to her, listen, you know, you had offered me to sell Avon for you. Well, I'll sell Avon, but forget the free lipstick. It needs to be 50-50. And that was like my first brush with like figuring out how to be an entrepreneur. And I went and took the Avon books to school, and they were in my locker and everything. And I started making $200 a week cash. And I'm like, I'm rich. And I really didn't want to part with the money. I really wanted to keep it, but I went and took it to the nuns. And then I thought, you know, if my mother and father find out that I paid for the school, my father's like a Latin man. He's very proud. He's going to freak out. Even then, I was taking care of men. What can I tell you? And so I said to the nun, oh, can you please send home a note and say I got a scholarship and blah, blah, because my parents will freak if they know I'm making all this money. And so they sent a note home. And my mother and father opened the note, and my mother goes, ay, ¿qué dice la nota? What does it say? And my father goes, that your daughter is a genius and that Jesus helped us after all. So that was my first brush with entrepreneurship. And you think I would have learned my lesson, that I should just work for myself after that? But a few years later, I was 23 years old, and I was recruited. I won't get into the boring details of how this happened, but I was recruited to run a Spanish-language little rinky-dinky TV station. And two very, very big men in the TV industry had bought this little rinky-dinky TV station in New Jersey for $5 million. And I was recruited. I was like the youngest person at CBS Network News, and they thought I was the perfect person to be the station manager, which everybody always thinks is so glamorous, but it was like 3 people in a room. It was no big deal. Anyway, I was the perfect employee, in my opinion. I was like the Burger King manager who's there 20 hours a day killing myself, but I loved every minute. I was 23 years old, and I literally just, I lived, breathed, ate that station, and you know, I built a station from scratch. I hired 75 employees. I really learned the Latin market. I went all over Latin America buying programming, and one day I walk into work, and the lawyer for my 2 bosses, which I barely saw once a year, says to me, oh, I have good news for you. We just sold the company for $75 million to an insurance company. And you're going to get a Mercedes-Benz and a couple $100,000. And all I thought about is, who stole my baby away from me? How dare they? And I call the boss, who I saw once a year, and I said, Jerry, I have to see you right now. And I went into New York City, into his office, and I said, how could you do this to me? This is my baby. How could you take away my baby from me without telling me? And he goes, young lady, those are my chips. You want to play? Go get your own chips. And I always say that that man changed my life, because he gave me what Simon was talking about, which is the spark that I just thought, I don't ever want to do this again. I don't ever want to feel this pain again. That something that I love madly is taken away from me. And that really embarked me on my entrepreneurial life, which I'm very pleased to say I've had my own business. I've actually had my own 2 businesses, which I'll tell you about, for 15 years, going on 16, which in the TV world is like unheard of. And it's interesting because I started my business launching TV channels around the world, particularly in Latin America. And I really became very successful very quickly. And it's very similar to what Simon was saying, because I had a very clear reason. It was like, I wanted to, you know, bring the Latin market to the United States. And it was such a clear passion of mine that all the doors opened easily. Very interestingly, like 6 years into my business, where I was making a lot of money, and somewhere in there I had started business number 2, which I want to share with you, which is real estate development. Because my boss, the one that told me go get your own chips, always said to me, when you make money, don't live bigger than you're living. Go buy some real estate, and real estate that brings you income. And by the way, this man I hated him for so many years, the best thing that ever happened to me, because I did that. And the reason I've been very successful in television is because I've always had this bread and butter real estate business that makes money while I sleep.